Instagram model lifestyle. Trying to sell you all this stuff. So your ego is the higher of the lower three, and it is a place where a lot of people get caught up in. But let's get into it. Let's get into some of these functions of the ego. So your function of the ego is like your inner child, right? Is a part of your identity that you carry with you for your whole life. It's the part of you that allows you to be a cherry tree or an apple tree or an orange tree, and understanding that you are one of these things, or you are something, or you are destined to be whenever you come to fruition, right? It's the ability to change. It's the ability that's in you that's able to change, to become something, to go from a little seed to a big tree. Your ego is like the thread that's between these different stages. It's the difference between an elder, a senior, or a junior. We're getting to the three, right? We were just at one. One is the foundation, just being here, belonging, just being. Two is, the cohabitation, even all these deers, right? There's a sacral chakra that's at play right here. You have multiples, right? It's the multiples. It's the community and how, you co-create with others. And then you have the ego, which is level 3, which is like, now that we got the community, now who's the alpha? Who's the beta? Who's the top, or who's the bottom, so forth. And not to be like, oh, it's only about top and bottom, which that's kind of what humans get into. It's a whole system of personalities, a whole system of ranking. Everybody has a different role to play. It's about knowing those roles. That's where we get into the 3. That's where we get into your own power, right? The Father, the Son, the Child, the beginning, the middle, the end. This aspect of things, right? The things that have a start and have a finish, right? A start, right? Like the sun, solar, star power, things that you see, things that are projecting, things that are, starting. It's like the story kind of where characters exist, right? Or develop. So having this aspect of yourself, the ego that can carry with you from a little child to a grown adult or a senior. Your ego is like the common thread between these things. And your ego is able to change. Your ego doesn't have to stay the same. Your ego can develop new things, just like a Pokemon. You can evolve your Pokemon, but the ego of the Pokemon will still be the same. Like that Pokemon will still have a certain personality, like your dogs, right? If it's like a little puppy, it'll have a certain personality to it. Then when it gets bigger, it'll reflect that same personality, no matter what kind of environment it is in. If it's a part of a litter, you'll have one that is sleepy, and you have one that's really playful, and you have one that just wants to be cuddled all the time. We have different egos, different personalities, and y'all know this stuff, right? I'm sure y'all get the personality side of it. But your ego is also that transformative energy. The ego is a part of you that is able to expand, is like the sun, is able to be seen in different ways. Okay, so functions of the ego as well. Like I said, hierarchy. The 3. Like I said, junior, senior, elder, the father, the mother, and the child. The ego is like the child being the form, right? To a degree, it's like where things kind of get to play a little bit, or play out a little bit, as opposed to it just being about survival and food. Now we get to a place where it's like, okay, what else is there? So we got the ego. Let's get into some of these imbalances real quick. I'm gonna run through this kind of quickly because, like I mentioned before, I did shoot this whole video and it was like 25 minutes long, and we're just gonna keep it going. A lot of people know about the ego anyway, so I'm trying to at least give y'all some things that you won't get in other videos, and give y'all some more dimensions to what the ego is, as opposed to it just being like, hey, if you want to fix your solar plexus, just think about yellow, or just wear more yellow. And it's like, yeah, okay, no, that doesn't really always work. You're not going to be able to fix people or balance things out just by putting on a color. It might help in a way, but it's not really like, it's not going to help you with the root of the issue. It's not going to help you really transform yourself or balance out the energies. It'll kind of point you in the right direction. So, imbalances, right? Your personality, personality disorders are imbalances. A lack of identity, a lack of sense of self. Let's see, or too much of that. too much of yourself, too much projecting yourself onto other people, too much of trying to control other people's personalities, or wanting their personalities to look more like yours or reflect yours, or something's going to be wrong. Also ego can be where it's your personality is shrunken too much, right? Where you kind of putting yourself in a position of being a victim, right? Ego's like that. Are you the victim? Are you the villain? Or are you the hero? Which one are you going to play out? People will play, their ego will play into different things. You'll be the victim or the villain, and people will kind of go back and forth. Your ego is able to kind of just go around and change. One day you might be the hero. One day you might be the villain. One day you might be the victim. You know what I mean? But controlling your ego and being in tune with that will allow you to understand, okay, I'm playing into these roles again. I'm playing into the same role. This isn't exactly who I am, but this is a part of like my personality during these certain times. So understanding that your ego is flexible, your ego is able to be destroyed and come again, come back and revitalize and so forth. That's kind of like the evolution of the Pokemon or the caterpillar and the butterfly. So understanding that about your ego, understanding these things, there's certain imbalances that play out in different ways. People have copycat energy, where they want to take on somebody else's personality because they think that that's going to work for them too. People want to imitate other people, that they see on TV. Everybody wants to look the same and act the same. Everybody wants to be an Instagram model. Everybody wants to be this or that, as opposed to just being themselves and being who they are supposed to be, their own expression, their own inner child, letting that be what's on the stage front, rather than putting a front on the stage. You know what I mean? So getting in tune with your ego is going to keep you from kind of losing yourself, right? Losing that sense of identity, knowing your true self, being in tune with your true self, being unafraid of presenting and showing your true self out to the world, as opposed to kind of succumbing to being in other people's trying to live out through them, trying to live vicariously through them, which you can, but if you're trying to be them, that's a whole different thing. Let's see. So, there's a lot of imbalances with ego, like I mentioned before, wanting to imprint yourself, wanting to project yourself onto other people or into other situations, or, allowing people to imprint or project themselves onto you more so, and not, finding your own frequency, your own, thing. So, let's go into, ways to activate it and balance it, and kind of, get yourself back in tune with your ego in a good way. Because the ego is a beautiful thing. It's beauty. That's another thing with ego, right? Beauty is a huge thing with ego. And, that sense of, attracting and repelling a little bit with your ego. As far as beauty goes, it's like how you design your room. Everybody has a different sense of style, right? No matter if you're very rugged and minimal, or you're somebody who's very, expressive and, colorful. Everybody has their own way, and everybody's like, this doesn't feel like me. If I'm in a room that feels like a little girl's room, your ego's not going to feel right there, right? Or if a little girl's in a room that looks like it's meant for like a military guy, it's not going to fit there, right? So your ego is kind of plays out in those ways too, where you have to feel like a sense of yourself out in your environment. That's kind of like the sun, the imprinting yourself in a positive way. Or you can imprint yourself in a negative way, where you want your whole environment to just reflect you and nothing else, right? Because you feel like you're the main star of the show. Star, right? Ego, star power, characters, elevated characters, super egos, and so forth. Archetypes, personalities. All these things. Everybody has a different archetype, whether you're the healer, or you're the protector, or you're the caregiver, or you're the leader or whatever. There's different archetypes that we all play into with our using our ego power. And these are ways that, like I said, we have the community, and then you have the next level, which is that hierarchy in the community, the hierarchy within yourself. So your ego is, it's a common thread that carries throughout your life. So you're capable of reinventing yourself. You're capable of becoming more than just one version of yourself. That's why you can look back at yourself like, oh yeah, I used to be like that, and now you're like this. You're the same person, but you're a different version, right? So, in order for you to balance out some of these imbalances, there's a part of us that kind of has to be able to transform with our ego. It's like the fire, right? We have to be able to transform. We have to be able to be flexible with our personalities as well, and be able to be like, this is what I used to do, but that's not me anymore. Maybe it might be more balanced for me to do this, or to grow in this way. And so your ego is what allows you to grow, what allows you to change, what allows your personality to take different forms and so forth. So, tap into that. Tap into like being able to reinvent yourself. That's a way to balance out. If you're kind of stuck in being one person all the time, or you kind of feel too held by like who you were in the past and how people see you and how you're perceived. And is this really going to be? If I do this, will people still see me the same way? Is this on brand with my who I am? And sometimes you just gotta be like, no, fuck it, it's not on brand, but it works for me, and this is what I need right now. Dang, do we have 7 birds again? We have 7 birds again. Just like I did the other one, we have 7 birds, literally. I don't know if I can count them, but that's pretty awesome. So shout out to they're just singing over this. They're singing. Oh, okay, that's so cool. But yeah, I'm glad I did this video now. That kind of warmed me up a little bit. But yeah, so your ego, your personality, your expression, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm all this stuff, that has to do with your ego. It has to do with balancing out your ego. Are you bringing wrath and fury and all this stuff, or are you somebody who can kind of be tranquil and allow things to be, allow other egos to share the space as well, allow other actors to play their roles and to have their lines. Are you somebody who wants to talk over everybody? Are you somebody who is talked over all the time? Are you more comfortable in these things? And it's okay. It's not just because you're that one day and one part of your life doesn't mean that's who you're going to be. And that's the transformative energy of the ego, and that you have to tap into. Because some people get too attached to certain identities, get attached to too many different labels. Oh, I'm a pro-lifer, I'm a pro-choice, I'm a Democratic, I'm a Republican, and all those things. And all these things will put you in a certain box, Your ego is like a fire. It's not meant to be in a box, You're able to be multiple things. You're able to have multiple interests. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're like, oh, okay, I like anime, but I don't like this anime. Oh my God, are you kidding me? It's like people's ego wanting you to be like them. So be you, allow yourself in the space to be you, and allow just people in other space to be them as well. It's a beautiful thing when everybody can bring their personality to the table. Tap into your inner character. Tap into your boss energy. But you also got to be the janitor too. You know what I'm saying? Don't allow your ego to be so rigid that you can't play different roles. You can't allow your character to build. Character building, right? Those things, being humble. Doing things that humble you. Finding humility in things as well. Will also help you to grow your ego or expand your ego in ways that you wouldn't think otherwise. If your ego is a little too projecting too much, you might need to be humble. You might need to find some situations where you take a backseat role, or do some other things for others, or allow other people to kind of like take that role sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And same thing, vice versa. If you're somebody who's very contained and you're not really yourself, and you have a lack of that identity or a lack of like who you truly are, it might be good to do things like sing to yourself in the shower, sing when you're in the car by yourself, and let it out. Because sometimes all this stuff that we carry within us, you can't get it out with words. You can't just say a word or a series of words and get it out. Sometimes you just gotta be like, yeah, singing and stuff. I ran out of memory, but where you can be like, and like let it out, right? That beast energy, when you hear that lion roar, you just gotta let that out. You know what I'm saying? That's just a pure, ego exhaustion, those things. You can overexert yourself, you can overput yourself out there too much. So being able to balance that, balance the introvert and the extrovert, that's the ego, learning how to balance that. I don't know how much longer my battery or my memory is gonna last on here. So I just kind of wanted to round that out. Hopefully this gives y'all enough of a basis to kind of understand more of your ego and the transformative power that it holds within you, and the ability to allow you to have multiple personalities, or like, have throughout your life, not at the same time, but like throughout your life, become a different person, to evolve, right? To be able to grow, to be able to expand, from a little seed into this whole thing. So, your ego is like the common thread. It's a beautiful thing, very beautiful thing, but we get caught up into it in the human world. We get too caught up in our own beauty. We get caught up in the mirror. We get caught up with just like ourself, looking at ourselves and stuff like that, as opposed to ourself knowing ourselves, and attaching ourselves to too many identities, right? Like I mentioned before with the Kundalini stuff, with the ascension thing. We take on these identities. Oh, I'm fat, I'm small, I'm big, I'm skinny, I'm American, I'm Jewish, I'm Texan, I'm like literally whatever. And we'll attach our identity to these labels as opposed to understanding who we are. And yeah, we are things and we aren't things, but labels can get really messy with humans. We want to label everything. So, you know, allow yourself to be free, allow yourself to grow, allow yourself to be humble though at the same time. You know, understand and appreciate who you are, you know, and appreciate who others are, you know, and find your inner character, find your inner child, find your inner, you know, belief system, you know, find the thing that really makes you, you, and find your sense of humor, you know, your sense of style, you know, get in tune with that more. And not in a way to where you think that yours is superior than others, but get into a way where people may want to try to do what you're doing because they're like, dang, that's kind of cool. I never thought about that, putting that together. But I'm like, yeah, it's just something that I like. And sometimes it's nothing more than that. Something that you like to do. It's just who you are. So I love y'all. It's already getting dark. So I'm gonna get out here, get inside before I become like mosquito food. And I love y'all. I'll catch y'all soon.